Hard work. That's what it takes. It takes hard work. Not just to win, just to exist. I was born in a jail cell. My parents spent 40 years in prison for a crime they did not commit. I'll take y'all on this little journey. So my great uncle, John Africa, started this organization called MOVE. And he started the organization with a simple mission: to protect life, people, animals, and the environment. And he had he was very passionate about what he believed in. And there's a person, my father-in-law, who spent a lot of time around John Africa and got to understand who John Africa is, what he's about, and how he conducted his life and what message he wanted to leave with the people. My father-in-law is Mo Africa. I've been married to Mo Africa's daughter for 28 years. We've been married for 28 years. If y'all follow me on social media, you know I give relationship tips. I'm trying to tell these brothers out here, y'all gotta step y'all game up. Ain't nothing wrong with the ladies, there's something wrong with y'all. They say the world is messed up, that's probably because men run it. But the person, I want to give some of my time to this person, because not only is he an amazing father, he has been an amazing father figure for me. He's been married to his wife since the early 1970s, and he has set a very powerful example of what a real man looks like and how a real man treats his wife. And he's going to give you some information about John Africa, and this will give you the essence of what led to me becoming who I am. Give it up for Mo Africa.
How's everybody doing? As my son-in-law said, you know, I spent a lot of time with John Africa. And the MOVE organization have been on trial. Our trial have been going on since the early 70s. And we're still on trial. John Africa made a profound statement of what this system is doing to all of life, to what this system is doing to you, your mothers, your fathers, your sisters, your brothers, everybody. John Africa made a profound statement for everybody to hear. He said that MOVE's trial, this trial, and when he said MOVE's trial, he was talking about your trial, your mother's trial, your sister's trial, your brother's trial. He said, this trial, as all others, have proven ill-concluded as the invalidability, the exploitative and enslaving inevitability was apparent through injustice and unfounded of true law. For as the commencing disability of this system, of the courts, of this system, for as the commencing disability of this system is one injustice after the other. The thing about what John Africa wanted people to know is that the MOVE organization have fought not just for MOVE, for everybody in here. We took beatings, jailings, and murders. And we still haven't given up. We still haven't given up. And this here is the time for people to, see and understand that things are we still got a lot of work to do. So, and getting back to what John Africa was saying, he said, Moore's trial, as all others have proven ill-concluded, as the invalidability, the exploitative and enslaving inevitability was apparent through injustice and unfounded of true law, whereas the commencing disability of this system, these courts, with racist, biased, openly prejudicial conduct, concluded the end as Moore's trial began. Your trial, his trial, as concluded the end as Moore's trial began. They were bidding of prejudice, appealing to hostility, mustering prejudgment by promoting the partial, the exploitation to preference through contrived division. The system was openly breeding and suckling dissension to arouse resentment, trying to make MOVE look like we are a bunch of radical rousers, trying to make us look like we wasn't nothing, that we wasn't doing what was important. But people, I know y'all know that it's important because you're here. I know you know. All right.
I know you know it's important because you're here. John Africa started that simple mission to protect life, people, animals, and the environment. Many members of the organization did not join MOVE because they wanted to free the animals. They joined the organization because they had issues, they had problems, they had physical ailments, they had infertility issues. John Africa was like a miracle worker. He gave the answers to the problems and the questions that they had. Anybody in here ever heard of Frank Rizzo? Who said boo? Frank Rizzo, to your boo. Oh, wow. Oh, man. Frank Rizzo is dead to your dead. I didn't say it, he said it. Frank Rizzo was one of the most racist, brutal. The United States is one of the most racist, is the most racist. South Africa studied the United States' racism so that they could create apartheid. And the United States, with all of its racism, thought it was a good idea to bring charges against Frank Rizzo for his racism. And this is the person that the MOVE organization faced in the early 70s when they were protesting at the Philadelphia Zoo. And they were protesting against the Barnum and Bailey Ringling Brothers sadism. John Africa had MOVE members write signs that said Barnum and Bailey Ringling Brothers sadism. He said, tigers ain't born to jump through rings of fire. Lions ain't made to be prodded with electrical rods. John Africa said things that offended the circus owners. He said things like, if you think that it's okay for babies to jump through rings of fire, then why don't you make your baby do it? You say that we're all God's creatures. The tiger is just as much as God's creature as you are. The same sun that shines on his head shines on your head. So if you think it's okay for a baby tiger to jump through a ring of fire, why don't you make your wife do it? MOVE was not the kind of organization that was willing to stand down when the police officer said stand down. If you're right, we'll accept that. But if you're wrong, we ain't accepting it. So, and MOVE, Dr. King had a very powerful influence on the American public, when he said things like, we're nonviolent. And I think people started to believe that nonviolent means that you don't defend yourself. The MOVE organization is very clear that nonviolence and self-defense are two very different things. So when the police hit MOVE members hit back. MOVE members were not going to allow people to attack them and beat their people and attack their children and beat their women and stand there and march and just talk about we shall overcome. So on May 20th, 1977, MOVE members stood on their platform armed. And they told the police, if you come at us with sticks, if you come at us with fists, if you come at us with clubs, if you come at us with guns, we will match you with everything you bring. That standoff led to a year's worth of time where the police were trying to figure out what to do. It culminated with Frank Rizzo making the decision to attack MOVE on August 8, 1978. Rizzo was at a press conference and he said things like, the police will be in there to drag them out by the backs of their necks. MOVE wasn't standing on a platform shooting people. They were standing there with their Second Amendment rights in their arms. This is our property. We ain't breaking the law. And we got the right to self-defense. And, come with it. They came up with some thing saying that MOVE had housing code violations. And that was the reason for 600 Philadelphia police officers to go to MOVE's house armed with the artillery of war. Rizzo even said it. We are now trained and equipped to fight wars. This police department in Philadelphia could invade Cuba and win. Why is a peace officer talking about invading someone's nation or having the power to do that? It seemed like in John Africa's trial, one of the things he said was, if you think I'm guilty, then why don't you charge me with peace? Why don't you charge me with freedom? Instead of trying to make me guilty, instead of trying to make me wrong, you should be trying to heal me if you think I'm sick. But that's not the way that they do things. If they think you're wrong, they bring brutality. If they know you're right, they bring more brutality. John Africa's MOVE organization wasn't standing for it. That confrontation ended with hundreds of rounds of firepower shot at MOVE. The deluge hoses. You ever seen a deluge hose aimed from a fire department? Those hoses are so powerful they can cut straight through brick walls. They can cut a human in half. They are so powerful they can shoot 10 stories straight up into the air. And 4 of them were trained on MOVE's house with MOVE people in that house. My mother was 8 months pregnant with me, holding her 2-year-old baby, and there was other babies in the house, other pregnant women, and this is happening while a wrecking ball is tearing the house down on top of us. And then a shooting started. The shooting started. Hundreds of rounds of ammunition fired at MOVE people. Police officers admitting later on that they shot in corners where they knew MOVE people were because they could hear the babies crying. They admitted in open court that MOVE women had no weapons. But this police shooting, this barrage of police gunfire, led to a police officer's death. And of course, MOVE members got the blame. They put my mother in prison and gave her 100 years. The judge himself who sentenced her said he didn't even know if she did it or not. And he didn't care. They gave my father 100 years. They gave Phil 100 years. They gave Delbert 100 years. They gave every single MOVE member that was arrested in that basement 100 years each, totaling 900 years for a crime that the judge said he didn't even know if they committed it or not. He didn't care. A lot of people hate MOVE. I'm not unaware of that. I used to hear people tell me that when I was in school as a 7-year-old. A lot of people hate MOVE. I think a lot of people met MOVE in the disgruntled phase. And first impression is a lasting impression. A lot of people didn't meet MOVE when MOVE was down headquarters washing cars and just paying their bills and playing chess and riding bikes in the neighborhood. They met MOVE when MOVE was angry because their people had just been sentenced to 1,000 years in jail, and the judge that sentenced them said he didn't care. They met MOVE when Wilson Good, who was the managing director at the time, said, if I became the mayor, I would help you free your people because I believe that officer was killed by friendly fire. And then when he became the mayor, he didn't do anything to see to it that those people got justice. So they met an angry version of MOVE. They met the version that was so radical that they strapped a bullhorn to their house, built a bunker, and said, we are willing to die because you're killing us anyway. They're killing the kids, they're killing the babies, they're killing the men and the women, and then pretending that it didn't happen. So, yeah, MOVE was angry. Yeah, they did some things that I would, you know what? People ask me, they say, Mike, you know your people was crazy, man. You know they did some crazy things. You wouldn't even want to live next to them. Yeah, that's true. I really wouldn't want to live next to the way things were either. But I do understand why they were mad. I was angry. I didn't like the way we lived. I love MOVE. I love eating raw food. I love the MOVE children. I loved our hair. But I didn't like that we were living under the constant threat of potential police violence. I love my family. You can see how I love my father-in-law right there. That's my hero right there. Listen, let me tell y'all something about Mo Africa, y'all. Listen. So Mo, he didn't tell y'all anything about himself. But Mo is one of the most amazing people I ever met. I met a lot of people. I've been to 6 different continents. How many continents on this planet? 7? It's 6? Come on. Is it really 6 or is that? We've been lied to in school. It's 6 continents. Well, I've been to 5 of them. I've never been to Antarctica. It's too cold down there. But I've been to 5 of them, and I've been around a lot of people, and I've never met anyone that is as remarkable as this man right here. You know, during the time when the bombing of MOVE happened, Mo was in prison, and he would do things to try to lift the spirits of the people that were not in prison. So he would write these stories, these children's stories, and he would send them home to the children so that we could read them and talk about them and discuss and about the way we should be living and the way we plan to live when people get back together. And we have it actually in the exhibit that we built. It's that story we put in the MOVE exhibit so that you can see some of the care. This is what I mean by people that met MOVE in the disgruntled phase. They don't really know who MOVE is. Mo was thoughtful and loving. And then when and I'll get to it further, but I wasn't always in MOVE. There was a time between 1983 and 1992 when I wasn't in MOVE. I came back in 1992, and I went to his house, and he raised me from then on like one of his other kids. He has 6 kids, and he brought me into his home and taught me these skills. When you see me on thing and I can do all of this handyman work and all of his carpentry skills, I got all of that from him. They don't make them like that no more, y'all. So, getting back to the story, there's the disgruntled phase of MOVE is when most people met MOVE. The most tragic and devastating, and the only time that any police force in America has ever dropped a bomb, they dropped it on MOVE in 1985. MOVE members were complaining about their prisoners. Release our prisoners. You know they're innocent. They didn't kill a cop. Even if they did, 100 years, 9 people cannot kill 1 cop with 1 bullet. And let's not get beyond the fact that if MOVE members had died by police gunfire, the police wouldn't be in jail. We want justice. The city claimed to understand that. They pretended to care. And their response to MOVE members complaining about freedom that was taken from them was to fly a helicopter over our house and drop a bomb and killed 11 people. As MOVE members tried to escape their burning house, they were shot by police. 10,000 rounds of ammunition aimed at those people. The children, Birdie talked about how he saw these children coming out of this house, and while they're running down the back alley to escape, their arms were melting. I don't give a damn about anything they're talking about in relation to something that happened to them when this is what they're doing to us. After the people came out of that house and were killed, their bodies were picked up and thrown back into the fire. The police's idea was to cover up the fact that they had shot him. Perhaps one of the most outrageous portions of this story is that after all of this destruction, devastation, and police officers on video laughing as the fire burned to over 2,000 degrees, the temperature that melts steel. The fire was told by the police commissioner, let the fire burn. And the fire commissioner said, yeah, okay, we'll do that. And guess who was arrested? Ramona Africa was arrested and sent to jail for 7 years because the judge said she rioted and committed arson. The police commissioner that said, let the fire burn, and as he ran out of bullets, sent for more bullets, as he packed that bomb with shrapnel and made statements like, this will be sure to kill the motherfuckers. As the fire commissioner said, okay, we'll let the fire burn. As the fire department stood there refusing to put out the fire. As the police screeched up and down the street in their cars, arresting people, including my Aunt Louise, throwing her out of the way, throwing her over the barricade as she and other people, members of the community, tried to stand in the way of this assault. No police officer was ever charged. You've never seen a police officer in handcuffs. You've never seen them in an orange jumpsuit like you saw Rodney Hinton, excuse me. Did y'all see Rodney Hinton? You've never seen them in handcuffs. Never seen a jail sentence. Just like Rodney Hinton, the question has to be asked, how is it that we're seeing the bail hearing of Rodney Hinton, the handcuffs, the orange jumpsuit? We see this happening. We see him in court. You've never seen a police officer that killed his son in court. You don't know what he looked like. He hasn't had a bail hearing. You know why? Because he wasn't arrested. You know what he has? A GoFundMe program that they're setting up to raise money for him while he's on leave. And that's exactly what happened to Move. No police officer was found guilty, innocent. They were never even questioned. Ramona Africa went to jail for 7 years. The only other person that went to jail regarding the Moves incident was the contractor who rebuilt the properties and built them out of Ernie Edwards, that built the buildings out of shoddy building material. I saw the bomb, I saw the smoke, I saw the cops, I saw the fire. All of this was an attempt to, all of the protesting Move did was an attempt to free the people that were in prison. After all this fire, chaos, the Move 9 remained in prison. In 1992, Ramona Africa came home from prison. Now, let me tell you something. I haven't seen Ramona in a long time. Interfamily differences created fractures and whatnot. But I love Ramona, and I'll tell you what, that woman took some of that fire that they used on her and blazed a trail of revolution throughout this country. And she went to colleges around this country, community centers, anywhere people would accept and listen to her. And a lot of places they didn't want to hear what she had to say. She worked and she set the stage to talk about what happened May 13th and talk about what happened with the Move 9. And when I came with her, oftentimes I'd sit and as the audience was listening and hearing what happened, I would be learning too. I remember one day she was speaking and she said, she pointed to me, I was sitting on the side and she said, he was born in a jail cell. And I was like, what? This boy has been 13 years old and he's never seen his parents outside of a prison visit. He was born in a jail cell. I'm like, wait a minute. Is that true? And then I'm going through Move archives and I read an article that Lynn Washington wrote, Move baby born in jail. When? Who is this? I'm like, who is this person? Is it real? So then I see at the bottom it says, Move member born to Mike and Debbie Africa. My mom called on the phone. I say, Mom, you got some other kids you ain't tell me about? I couldn't believe it. And then we had another protest or event, she's speaking, and she says it again. So then I come over, she come over to me, and she said, why you look so strange every time I say that you was born in jail? I say, well, Ramona, it's not a badge of honor to say that you was born in jail. That's kind of weird, ain't it? And she was like, no, you shouldn't think of it like that. And I'm like, how should I think of it? She said, you should think of it like this. Your mother had you in a jail cell. Do you know how hard it is to have a baby? Do you know how strong your mother had to be to give birth? That's first of all. When people have babies in the comfort of their home or in the hospital, it's not easy. Your mother, under duress in a jail cell, gave birth to you with no help. That's how you should think of it. Your mother had to be strong to do that. Then I started thinking about it like this. I guess I had to be kind of strong too. Wait a minute. Hold on, give me some credit. I need a little bit of love. What's up? And then we had at an event, and Pam, anybody in here ever heard of Pam Africa? So Pam, Ramona and Pam are like fire and ice. One's cool, one's fiery, right? And Pam was in there. She was like, and Mike Africa was born in the jail cell. And here I go again, like, yo, Pam, like, don't tell people that. And she was like, no, and he was born in the belly of the beast. And I was like, I was? Then I started thinking of it like this. Yo, that's powerful. So I started developing confidence and pride around, not that I was born in a jail cell, because that's just weird, but that my family is strong and they endured things that they shouldn't have, but they did it and they kept on coming. They kept on the move. So as years went on, learning from Ramona and traveling around and having this powerful foundation of loyalty and strength from my father-in-law and people like him and other people in the organization, we got to a point where the Move 9 were getting sick while they were in prison. They were getting older, and we had to do something. So we started connecting with some of our attorney friends around the community, and we had already had this powerful support system because people recognize what happened to Move. They know, you don't have to agree with everything Move say, but you know Move got a raw deal. 1,000 years in jail, I've never even heard of anything like that before. For 9 people, for something that the judge said he don't even think they did, that's crazy. But then we kept working. My mother and my father and my Uncle Chuck. Chuck was 18 when he went to prison. And Chuck had always got involved in law books, and he would read these books, and he would watch Perry Mason. Remember Perry Mason? He would watch Perry Mason and be like, Mike, I saw on Perry Mason that if you do so-and-so and so-and-so with the ex post facto, that you can do so-and-so and so-and-so, and so you can get a high-profile lawyer to file the campaign to do X, Y, and Z, and then we'd be out. And I was like, what? I said, write it down for me. Chuck wrote it on a paper bag and sent it to me. I gave it to the lawyer, and the lawyer said, I never saw, oh yeah, we could do this. We can? We did it. And then on June 16th, 2018, I went to the prison and picked up my mother. As soon as that happened, the FOP president got on the TV and he said, one slip through the cracks. He said that Michael Davis, talking about my dad, he's next. And we're going to be there to make sure he served a full term. We want his body. If he dies in prison, we want his corpse to occupy a cell until his term is up. And then something happened that I never expected to happen. Wilson Good was being honored with his very own street sign. And the people in the community was livid. And that brought so much attention to what was going on. And Wilson Good then started saying things like, I'm willing to help the MOVE organization for the rest of my life. And then Larry Krasner was elected DA. And the lawyers that we had talked to Larry Krasner. And then the parole agents started following me on social media. I thought that was kind of strange. It seemed like things were happening. Things happened. 4 months later, October 23rd, I went to the prison and picked up my father. And then who said that? Say that again. Power of truth is final. That's a John Africa quote right there. The power of truth is free. Who said that? Free Mia. A lot of people say that. Free Mia. Every MOVE person after my parents came home from prison, each serving at least 40 years. A couple years after they came home, I was at home with my mother, and I got a phone call from a supporter who said, have you heard about the MOVE remains? What? University of Pennsylvania has some of the remains of your family in their museum. I asked to meet up with her, and she explained to me what she had heard. We then met with one of the students who gave me some of the information about it. I called my family members and I told them what happened. The next thing I know, there's all these investigations. It is true. The Penn Museum stole, Janet Monge stole, and Alan Mann stole, and Jane Weiss did dissertations, embargoed dissertations. I don't know what that means, but that's what people are saying, embargoed dissertations on the bones and the remains. And they made YouTube videos called Losing Personhood and Adventures in Anthropology, holding up the remains of our people. Just like in 1985, when the city committed this atrocious act against our family, no one was punished for it. And the same with the institution of the Penn Museum. Janet Monge was never arrested or in any way punished. She wasn't even fired. Alan Mann, he wasn't arrested. He not only was one of the people involved in stealing the remains, he actually put them in the trunk of his car and traveled them to different colleges where he adjunct professored with them. The MOVE organization has been through a lot. And I don't know if it's a natural thing for us or if it's just experience that gives us the ability to keep going. One thing I can tell you is we're always on the move. We've been I developed this nervous tick thing. That right there. When I talk about certain things, as soon as I heard about, Tree was the girl, the 14-year-old girl, and during the investigation, trying to find out this information and dig through this paper and this archives, I learned things about her that I never knew. One thing that I learned that was really cool, but it was terrible the way I found out, but it was really cool, is that we have the same birthday, September 15th. That's the best birthday of the year too, by the way. You know why? Because it's the best time of the year. It's never too hot, it's never too cold. It's a really nice time of the year. And Tree was the oldest of the kids, right? One of the oldest of the kids. So she was like one of the people that helped the parents, the adults. When they were washing clothes or whatever, she was always often called on to help, because she would get the other kids. I'm one of the younger ones. So, she's one of the people that I remember more. I was only 6 years old when the bombing happened, so I don't have vivid memories of everyone, but I do of her. It was nice to see that we have the best birthday and that she was born on a nice day. But it's really infuriating that no one was punished for what they did to her. I know with 100% certainty that if I took the remains of Janet Monge or her kids or anyone else, put them in the back of my car, put them up on display, made YouTube videos with them, raised money with them, I know that I would be in a jail cell. We have experienced a lot, but we keep going. Dr. King said, if you can't fly, run. If you can't run, walk. If you can't walk, crawl. But whatever you do, keep moving forward. John Africa said, move ain't talking about changing governments, replacing one corrupt dictator enslaver for another. Move is talking about doing away with all forms of external government and replacing it with the government of self. See, it's the government of self that you can depend on for unbending protection. The government that tells you when you're hungry, when you're thirsty, when you're tired, when you must rest, when you're hot, when you're cold, when you're warm, when you're comfortable. The meaningful dictates that no external government can control. And we are in this situation now because we've given our allegiance to a system that doesn't care anything about us. We're breathing in air that is polluted. We're drinking water out of bottles because you can't out of the tap. The bottled water, you're finding out now that there's microplastics. This system don't care about us. They never have, and they never will. When people say we gotta fix the system, they're confused because they think the system is broken. It's created to do this to you. The police are killing you because that's what they're trained to do. You think they're wearing those nightsticks for decoration? They're not carrying guns as ornaments. Smith & Wesson don't care about how many brothers and sisters that get shot down in the hood. Neither does Ruger or Sig Sauer or any other gun manufacturing company. They don't care about us. And the sooner we realize that, the better off we'll be. And until we realize that, we're going to continue to struggle and die and suffer. we gotta think about Ibrahim. Y'all see what's going on in Burkina Faso? We gotta think about total revolution, because what is happening now ain't working. All right. I could do this all day, but I'm not going to. I really, really appreciate being here. Thank you to Shannon and Abby and Erica and everybody at CCP that made this day possible. Thank you for thinking and remembering my family and our experience and putting this all together, and to everybody. And I want you to make sure that you check out the exhibit. Dr. Crystal Strong and I, Dr. Crystal Strong is the archive director for the Move Activist Archive. And there you go, give it up. And we curated an exhibit that is in, what's the name of the library? And it's there right now. And we haven't unveiled it yet, but it's there. But check it out. You'll learn so much history about the MOVE organization and what we're really about, and it's from our collection. So thank you to everybody. I have books, and if anyone would like to purchase one for $32, the books go toward Reclaim Osage. Reclaim Osage, after the city of Philadelphia dropped the bomb and killed our family, they took our house from us through eminent domain, and now we're working to get it back. So every purchase of the book goes toward Reclaim Osage. Thank y'all for listening to me. Okay. There you go. There you go. I like it. Come on. Woo-wee. Yeah. So, reparations, I like it. So I think we're supposed to do a question and answer thing, but before I do that, let me say, when my father came home from prison, my father's an amazing man, first of all, and he said something that stands out in my mind. He said, every time a person recognizes what we've been through and they show love, it's like a good big hug. So thank y'all for that. Okay, question and answer. Are we doing question and answer? Question and answer. Who got a question?
For repairs,
Uh-huh.
I'm loud enough. Okay. I would like to know how they could do repairs, as far as they should be able, no, they must, saying I'm sorry does not cut it. Each one of those families should be able to restabilize their community. They owe it to not just MOVE, every resident that was harmed, including the police video of the child being hit in the face by a horseshoe, because they came up into people's homes and hit not just the children, they abused the community.
Yes.
How can they repair? That's my question.
Well, I can tell you that the city of Philadelphia ain't giving up nothing unless you make them. When Ramona filed a civil suit in 1995, I think it was, the verdict was that the city of Philadelphia was guilty, that Wilson Good, I think it was Wilson Good, Sambor, maybe Leo Brooks, and Richmond were liable. And the judge said, the jury said, their punishment is going to be $1 a week for 11 years. And the judge said he wouldn't even make them do that. The city of Philadelphia awarded Ramona $500,000. That same year, there was a person who was driving through a McDonald's and bought a coffee and spilt the coffee on herself and burned herself with that coffee. She spilled the coffee, she bought the coffee, she spilled the coffee on herself, and she sued and won millions. Ramona didn't get burned by a coffee, she got burned by a bomb. And her award was $500,000. City of Philadelphia ain't giving them nothing. They won't. It took them 40 years to say, I'm sorry. And that wasn't because they wanted to. We were at an event the other night, and Councilwoman Jamie Gauthier said when she first broached the issue of making an apology, many of the other council members said no. She had a lot of resistance. So the city ain't giving them nothing. The only way that they will move is if the people make a move. And the only way that can happen is for everyone to be on one accord. I do these things called relationship tips. I told y'all that. Let me give y'all a little relationship tip. So Mo and his wife has been married for more than 5 decades. My mom and dad been married they've been together for more than 5 decades. They just got married a few years ago, but together for 5 decades. Yeah, that happened. Robin and I have been together for 28 years. I know a lot about relationships. I've seen a whole lot work and not work. And the number one tip for relationships is alignment. Be aligned. You have to be aligned in your thinking. You could be a vegan and she could be a meat eater. But if you're aligned in your thinking and where you're going, your direction, it can work. You just got to make sure that you don't eat off the skillet. The thinking of the people when you're talking about getting something, reparations, that alignment is very important. If half of the black community is saying, nah, MOVE was the problem, and the other half is saying, I'm with MOVE, if half the people are saying, well, it was kind of problems on both sides, and the other half is saying, nah, I'm with MOVE, see that? That won't work. Because when you get to City Hall to make that demand, you don't have everybody with you. And if you do, before you even accomplish anything, people are fighting each other. So people have to be unified. An open hand, yeah, you could slap somebody and do some damage, but if you close that and make a fist, that unity, that changes the amount of power. We need a closed fist. So that's what we got to do. Other than that, it ain't going to happen. I know, $3,094 a month. I know, we working on it. Every purchase, the GoFundMe, we're working on it. Sometimes you can't rely on them. They won't do it. You just got to do it yourself. We got to rely on each other. Any other questions? You, and then Muti, and then you, Primomia.
Hello.
Hello. I can't see because the light, so I just want to.
It's okay.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yes.
Okay. You guys have so much emotion after so many years. What does healing actually look like for your family?
That's a good question.
Thank you.
I don't think you can heal from a thing like that. You know, like if you fall off a bike and scrape your leg, you can heal from that. But if something happened and you have to have your leg removed, you're not healing from that. Not that part. Our hearts won't heal from what we experienced. But you move anyway. You keep moving. And that has to be enough because the scar that we carry, that's in there. But being able to move and being able to teach and being able to get these warm hugs is very helpful. Thank you. Muti. Your mic.
That said, okay. I read a couple reports somewhere, so-called, regular media, that mentioned Princeton University being involved with the hiding or the treachery dealing with the family moves remains. Are you considering pursuing them and using the connections some of us have with Princeton University? Are you willing to sit down with them?
Some of us have. I like that. Absolutely. No stone unturned. Yeah, I mean, I think in order to get things done, you have to. We're the underdog in this, and we can't afford to leave a stone unturned. We can't afford to let things go. So I fully intend to exhaust every opportunity to not just reclaim Osage, but to force these people to find a way to do whatever kind of educational program that they got going on without stealing the remains of our people or anybody else.
For sure.
It wasn't just MOVE members that were stolen. The Morton collection, that's a violent collection where Samuel Morton stole the remains. He was a grave robber. Thousands of human skulls, black people trying to study to see if black people were inferior to white people.
Shame.
And so, yeah, we fully intend to keep on pressing on. Princeton, they know we coming. I've already told them.
Yes, sir.
They're aware.
One last question.
Uh-oh, you breaking the rules.
Yeah, absolutely. How you gonna get me one of them hats?
Woo! This is one of a kind. It's like 5 of these made in the history of the world. We could talk about it, though. Talk to me, Free Mumia.
I've heard you talk about pressure.
Yes.
And that's the way, and I've seen that's the only way that works. I also understand that Mumia is in prison because he got the judge to admit on a radio station that he had no idea who killed the cop who died, and Move 9 was held accountable. What does pressure look like right now to free Mumia?
You know, different missions take different levels of pressure. Trying to get people released onto parole is different than freeing a person that was on death row that now has life in prison. There is no opportunity for parole. So it's different. If you want my personal idea about pressure for that, you'll have to see me in the hallway after this.
You got it.
Talk to me. All right, who else?
So of course we know. Yes, of course we know the history of MOVE here locally, but nationally, I don't think it has been as well known, or even put into the Black history books. Mm-hmm. So how do we get MOVE, about what happened with MOVE, to be incorporated in the history, in the Black history books more, so more people nationwide know about it?
That's a good question. We've been working on that. I wrote my book to do just that. It's national. It's in Barnes & Noble and Ida's and Harriet's and a lot of bookstores around the country. One thing that was important for me was to shape the narrative a little bit more evenly before people learn as much on a major level. Because if everybody heard the Philadelphia narrative, the people around the country would be just as the people in Philadelphia. And that's not something I want. Because, like I said earlier, people got the disgruntled version of MOVE in their minds when they think about MOVE. The people that don't like MOVE, the people that hate MOVE. I've been in certain buildings, and we've seen it. Actually, we saw it just yesterday when we were working on something, and the day before too. I was talking to this person, and we were having a great conversation. Just a person that just walked up, and I'm kind of friendly, so I just say stuff, and then she starts talking. We start talking. Next thing you know, we talking about our kids and showing each other pictures and stuff. And it's just, that's just, kind of how I am. As soon as this person found out that my name is Mike Africa, they dashed off and left. And I've seen it before. So I don't want people to have the bad taste in their mouth before they even hear my name, before they even hear my voice, before they know anything about me, they're prejudging me. So the course that I'm on to have people understand, move from my voice, I want people to know that I am a direct representative. I am a direct result of what Move is. And I try to be a really good person and a decent person and an honest person. And so as we travel this throughout the country, I want the experience to be positive instead of being tainted with Move people eat their children. Move people use their children as shields. Move people eat dogs. So that's kind of the trajectory. But we're working on it. We want to get Move history in the history books in schools so that children around this city, every school should be teaching Move history. Forget about Christopher Columbus. He wasn't that important. Read about your history here that you can see in color, that you can see right here, right now. I think that was the last question, y'all. All right, I think we're good. Thank y'all very much. Buy a book, On the Move.